This club's about winning trophies. I'm inexperienced in a lot of those things.
3-0. Sorry for smiling there.
Almost lost the cup and you win it. The new European champions, the treble, the dream come true for you.
Oh, I can't believe it. I can't believe it. Football, bloody hell. But they never give in. And that's the winner.
Welcome to the American Red Devils podcast. I'm John.
I'm Alex.
We're bringing you the best Manchester United news from this side of the pond.
Ooh, sir, how we doing? American Red Devils abroad at Old Trafford today, sir, and United lose 2-1 to Fulham. Low energy performance. We're a little quiet. We're on the train back, trying not to piss off our neighbors too bad. But United, sad. A little bit of fight at the end, but the first half was like abysmal. Second half, we kind of woke up after they scored, but it shouldn't take us conceding for us to wake up. But a bummer, but United have a lot to work on. Didn't look motivated, didn't look organized, so a bit of a mess.
Bit of a mess in the middle of the park for Manchester United, but you know what? We're here. Made the trek up from London to Old Trafford. It's a special place. As a fan, highly recommend you make the trip. And, singing the Stratford End was great. Great weather, rainy February in Manchester. Lowly Fulham coming into town. I thought we were a lock for the 3 points. That's probably why we didn't get them. Also, the way it ended, it was like, I thought we were going to push on, get the winner, and then Iwobi putting us to the sword. It was brutal, absolutely brutal. But like Alex said, we're doing a podcast like a bunch of maniacs. In the first
on a moving train.
On a moving train.
Like Tom Cruise would.
Like Tom Cruise would at MI7. But man, I think the key takeaways for me in person, it's so much more clear what's going on with this team. It's like the warm-up was slow. I saw the midfield warm-up and it wasn't sharp. We looked slow out of the gates in the game. Something is off about Manchester United. And I'm looking at the Dutchman on the touchline right now, because if we're that off in warm-ups and we look that off at home against Fulham when we got something to play for, look, the players are enough for it. We know they're bluffers, but there's a lot going on, and there has been a lot going on, but I can't put my finger on it, but something seems off.
No, and you feel that when you're in person. It's a totally different vibe, totally different atmosphere when you actually see it live, and to see like the lack of effort, the lack of gumption in the first half, and United really not getting going until we were scored on. And the boys, like you said, it was sloppy in the warm-up. It was sloppy in the game. We gave the ball away a lot. And we just didn't show any pep. We started to look like we were tired, like we played midweek, and we haven't played in a week. So there's no excuse there. A lot of issues to work out. Injuries are once again popping up, but either way, the performance is not good enough because you're letting on too many shots. All these teams we've been playing that are in the middle to bottom half of the league have been peppering us with shots, running through our midfield. They ran through our midfield again today, and not actually made some good saves. But it was fun at the end. United, I did think we were going to get the winner. I had to say it. I thought we were going to get it because once we got that first goal, Magoo, shout out, he had a good game. There was some there was a couple minutes of actual old school United, but it wasn't to be.
Good goal for Maguire, and obviously you see the downside in person, but Garnacho, I think the last time we came to Wolves, Bruno was having a game that didn't come across on TV. He was all over the pitch working like a dog. This time, Bruno was off his game. The only thing I can say is the whinging is a lot more in person. But Garnacho, he was sharp in warm-up. He was the only threatening player going forward for United. Everything went through him. Extraordinarily promising young talent. And, there is a lot of upside in this team, but right now we're just not playing well. But, sir, quick PSA for the pod. If you like the American Red Devils and you like us coming across the pond, podding on trains, in airplanes, in airports, wherever we do.
Trains, planes, and automobiles.
Support us on Patreon, patreon.com/American Red Devils. You can also check us out at americanreddevils.store. Get your Eric Ten Hag Red Army scarves while they're hot. americanreddevils.com for all your fan-generated blog content. Sir, tell them about iTunes reviews.
iTunes reviews, 5-star reviews of the American Devils podcast, wherever you listen. It's a great way to support the pod. Helps us get found organically by other top Muppets like yourself. And even better, we're giving away free merch. All you have to do is write a 5-star review on iTunes or Spotify and send a screenshot of that review to americandevils@gmail.com. And I will pick back and ship some free ARD gear, send it to your door anywhere in the world. And we've been getting lots of 5-star reviews. We appreciate all of them. The Reds were not 5-star today, my friend. They were not 5 stars. We take the train back down to London, which we made by the hair on our chinny chin.
We'll tell that story. We should just jump into that. Like, we literally just got on this train, and it's like it's a heartbreaker. Like, game ends at 5, trains at 5:55. It's like 15 minutes, but like with everyone leaving, you can get screwed. And if you don't make your train to London, it like blows up the whole trip. So it's like we left it, like we saw the Maguire winner. We started heading out to the exit, and then all these chances for United started going in. So we were like, we tried to play the edge. We were going to leave at like 90th minute to try to beat the rush. We stayed. And Iwobi scores the dagger. We try to leave. Our Uber gets caught with the road shut down. We literally were like running to make this train. Save the trip, sir. It's like coming to United isn't that straightforward, but it's always a rush. I feel like the game let us down, but our Uber driver, shout out to him. We tipped him big time. He was like, without him, we would have made the train.
Uber driver was the MVP. I mean, he was like the most effort I saw all day was from the Uber driver. So shout out to him getting us home. It could have been a totally different night. I mean, like we played like shit, but we like you said, when we got that 1-1, we were in the game. I think we could have won the game, and then we just got cut open at the end.
We didn't deserve it, but you could steal it.
No, we didn't deserve to win.
It's another one of those
we've been stealing too many.
4 games in a row, like Paul Scholes says, is Manchester United is the only team that can get battered and still win 5-0. That's what it felt like today. It's been like that for the last 4. And by the way, like I said it on the pod not too long ago, when we get close to anything, this team is going to just disappoint you. And that's why I didn't want to get behind it. But, I did. As soon as we did ARD Jinx coming out here, I had to get on the train for 5-5. And boy, did we get let down. It will be. It's so poetic. The footballing gods are cruel. But sir, you want to jump into the starting 11 here?
Show me that 11. Let's see that 11 we got. Onana in net. Who else? The big question was, of course, who's going to be left back with Shaw down and no one else available. So it's Delot, Varane, Maguire made it, and he had a great game. I think Varane also had a pretty good game as well. Lindelof left back, and then of course our midfield 3: Casemiro, Menu, and Fernandez. Garnacho on the left. Rashford up top at number 9. And then the young lad, Forson, coming in, which was a big call for the manager. Him and Lindelof are the big calls that, he had to make today. Who are you going to play? Do you play Amrabat? Do you play Kambwala at right back and move to left back? But he went with Lindelof.
What do you think? What do you think of this 11?
I thought it was brave to play Forson. I would have liked to see Ahmad. I feel like Ahmad should be higher up the depth chart. He's a little older and he's played more senior football. But I like that from him. I think, like I was saying this before the game started, that Manchester United fans would give a manager more leeway if he plays young lads, and he did throw him out there. He probably is not quite ready to take the step up to start 60 minutes of a Premier League game, but he had some moments. But it was a poor first half from United overall.
Look, I don't mind the back line, but Forson, it's like I agree with you. We said before the game we want the manager to be bold. If we felt like kind of the basic decision would be Antony back on the right. It was his birthday, by the way, so I thought the manager would just go for
Didn't
Antony.
even get a minute.
But with Forson, it's like, why didn't Ahmad play in the FA Cup? Why aren't we getting a view of this kid earlier? I think it's one thing to bring the kid in, but it's another thing to just give him a start without any other first team minutes. It's it's a little intense, and I felt like it showed today. And I feel like the way we are playing, it's like, I hate to say it, but someone who has that established minutes, even a bluffer like Antony, might have done a little better, even though we just weren't on it today.
Yeah, and Fulham, I don't even think they're there at their best. They probably would have scored in the first half if they were, but I agree, to throw a youngster like that, 19, who hasn't played very much in the Premier League, in a game starting. Ahmad at least has played in the Championship, so I think that would have been more logical.
Be bringing these
also,
guys
in the
FA Cup. We played League One sides in the FA Cup, and these kids aren't getting minutes. You wait for this. It's I don't know.
I don't disagree. Well, he's finally realized that Anthony ain't the guy. Anthony didn't even touch the field today. I mean, that says something. And it's his birthday. The other boys. So,
what do you think he got for his birthday? That's the real question.
The Dutch, I don't know. What are the Dutch like?
Well, they got the
super
Stroop
waffles. Yeah, those are delicious.
Sir, you want to walk us through the batch here? What do we got?
So
just walk us through a high level recap.
First half was not super eventful. Most of the action was later in the game. So
Fulham had some half chances, though.
They had more opportunities for sure in the first half.
We came out with a little piss and vinegar, and then Fulham right on the ball, having a time of it. Old Trafford, we couldn't get a control of the middle of the park. It was an issue.
And they had a couple chances. They cut to the midfield multiple times. United kind of woke up the last 10 minutes, had a few chances, one with Rashford, one with Bruno. But ultimately, it was pretty tepid first half. And going into halftime, you kind of expected there had to be changes because he didn't wait long to make changes.
We had a little bit of a surge into halftime, which is like reassuring. And then obviously Casemiro goes down in the 53rd. And this is sort of like the big move from the manager was McTominay and Eriksson coming on.
Which I thought was a good sub, to be fair.
Casemiro for McTominay for Casemiro, and then Eriksson for Forsen. What'd you make of these subs? Because this was like a big decision by the manager. Felt like a little spaghetti at the wall to me.
I thought this was a good sub. I mean, it was clear that that Forsen wasn't working, and Casemiro got the head injury, so we're all hoping for the best for him and hoping he's okay. But I thought that made sense. It's like we've been dying out for some Eriksson control. I thought he played well at times today. He was much better with the corners than Bruno was at the beginning. And then McTominay, he's always useful. But it was weird. He was playing like on the wing sometimes. He was playing at 10. I would have played him as like the straight up number 9 because Rashford is not effective at number 9. Like he is on the wing. He's better on the right than he is at number 9. So that doesn't work.
Fulham score in the 65th. Calvin Bassey. That one was a heartbreaker because as soon as that went in, we kind of knew that we were absolutely like dusted by the needed 2-goal comeback. But ultimately, when you start throwing Eriksson and McTominay on, and we saw it in person, like you can see more because you get the tactical view, it was so mashed potatoes. Like people wanging in balls, like no one's on the same page. People are like you saw it so many times they pass the ball out of bounds. No one's on the same page in this team. It's like the stew ain't working. We're not controlling the game in the middle of the park. We throw on a ton of attackers. We get desperate. We get some mojo, but there's no real like structure. There's no real like game plan. I feel like we were so reactionary and we toss everything out the window.
No, it does feel that way, and it feels like the only way the style of play works is if players work their ass off, and if they're not working their ass off, they just get chopped through in the midfield. And I don't think we started to see some fight until we conceded, which should not be what it takes for us to actually wake up. But we were trying to pinch and hold on play. The big thing that changed the game was bringing on Ahmad, 80th minute sub for
He count for Manu.
Manu, of course, to kind of really push and go for that equalizer. And Harry Maguire coming up big. He had a great game. He looked great in the back four.
89th minute goal for United. Magoo, I mean, like left-footed shot. It was great to see him score. I mean, like 89th minute, you get the equalizer. Stretford End goes nuts. It was the most quiet the Stretford End has ever been at any United game, which is, I think, like the biggest indictment of what's going on at the club right now. I've never been in this. I've been in the Stretford End since 2010, and it was like something's off. You and me got there, and like it was not right. Something was in the air, and like I think everyone's like a little nervous. The stadium's nervous. The fans know it. Fulham's gonna get you. That's the mentality at United. We will get this great goal though. Celebrate, and then the Stretford End came alive, which was like great to see.
No, there's nothing better than a late goal, late equalizer. I mean, the mojo felt right. I thought we were going to get the winner in this moment. Like I thought we were going to press on and go and find a way. Like you said, McTominay header, and then we looked vulnerable on the break. You know, the number of times that United was broke on, we did okay. That like they got the pass wrong, or our defenders covered that last man. But tonight, that Onana once again, like you got to dive. Like, even if you flub it, you still gotta dive. You still gotta like the fake dive at least. I like that. Nothing worse than a goalie who just stands there and watches it goes in. That's a heartbreaker.
You need the fake dive. 97th minute, Iwobi puts us to the sword at the death. Almost cost us our train as well.
And all 3 points.
And all 3 points. A point would have been like pretty good to come away with, but with 3, sir, this just tells us we're not ready for Champions League football, right?
I mean, I want that Champions League money. That's the thing. Is like we want that money. We want the budget because we want new people. We have new people in charge of the club, and we have a big game next week, sir. We have the biggest game they come, the Derby. So we're not really ready for Champions League football, but you still want it because you need it. And the coefficient, we're going to be rooting for all the other English teams, whether we have to, whether in the Champions League or the Europa League or the Conference League. We got to root for everybody because that could be the difference, and we could maybe get 5th. We're not going to catch Villa, but maybe we can catch Spurs. Maybe. Judging these injuries,
I've seen it over the last 4 matches when we were getting good results. We weren't playing well. we didn't play well today. We lost. There's going to be more not playing well and losing in our future, and we can get lucky and we can have these breakthrough results. And we could have stole it today too, but there's been too much stealing at Manchester United, and eventually that check's going to come good on that XG, and it did today because, we did out XG them, but which
is shocking being there and watching.
I just don't even believe it. Looking at the stats.
We had a flurry at the end. I mean, they were really kind of lumping it in. I like that. I mean, they did play Harry. It could have gone totally different. So they threw the kitchen sink at it to get 3 points. But the disappointing thing is coming out like dead ducks. I mean, they were so flat.
Yeah, you don't need the stats to know that. But the XG 2.18 to United, 1.36 to Fulham. The X threat 1.53 to United, 1.45 to Fulham. Possession, we did have more of the ball with 56%, but the field tilt was with United at almost 60%, which was good to see.
9 shots on goal for United to 5 for Fulham.
We were pushing pretty high, but when you look at the average position map, it's Bruno, Cass, and Manu all on top of each other, forcing out in no man's land, and it was basically all going through Garnacho on the left-hand side, and that was the only game plan.
Who looked lively.
But he looked sharp in warmups. He looked good in the game. But, as far as the table, sir, let's just give the update here.
Hopefully he's okay. They look bad.
We can't. The problem with United is everything going on with the front office is positive, but I hope we can keep kids like Garnacho around, because when you start playing, you experience shitfootball.com and you're that good,
He's gonna be the hardest one too, right? Because the other two are going to be compelled more so, I think, to stay in England, stay in Manchester, but because he's Argentinian, it's he's gonna, he grew up in a Spanish academy. That's gonna be a hard player to hold on to. So United's got to turn the tide soon. Radcliffe did say in his interview he wants it to be a 2 to 3 year turnaround instead of a 10-year turnaround, because fans will get frustrated, which is fair. But we got a lot to work on, and this coach is fighting for his life. So let's go see how we finish the season. He got
fighting for his life.
Fighting for his life.
Fighting for his life. You heard it here.
I mean, all the fans are talking about this way. All the fans are talking that way.
Yeah, he's fighting for. I'll tell you what. You go to a game and you check social media. It's way worse on social media than it is in person.
Everyone looked okay. Everyone looked okay walking out.
Looking at the table, United 44 points, 26 played. Tottenham 47-25. It really comes down to Tottenham because we're. Sir, we used to try to play for top 4. Now I play for top 5. 52 points for Villa on 26. 55 points for Arsenal on 25. 59 for City on 26. And 60 for the Scouse Bastards on 26. Regardless, we should stop checking the table. We should start seeing if we can play some good football.
We have a big game coming up. We got City next weekend. That is going to be a ridiculously tough match away at the Empty Head. So... big test for United. I mean, what are we going to do?
We can beat them, sir. We can beat them.
We can always beat anybody. But we just this team. You never know what you're going to get, and we look something off, bro. Like you said, something looks off. Morale looks down. It shouldn't be this way.
It's behind the scenes, right? My issue is you watch it on TV, you can tell something's up. All these players falling out all season, up and down. Then we kind of go on a run. The young lads surging through. We've seen that before.
You see them.
And then coming in person and seeing the warm-up sloppy. It's just the standards dropped. The leaders aren't there. You look at the Rashfords and the Brunos. They're out of form. Rashford missing chances in warm-up. Just not locked in. Not ready to win. Not ready to push on for a Champions League spot. I feel like people are so checked out at this point. So. But, sir, that it was today. That was the match recap. We'll drop the City pod this week when we get back stateside.
That's right.
We got to talk about last night. Dark ales at the pub. You came in at 8. How are you feeling?
I'm not a young man anymore, and you find that out the hard way. It wasn't quite like last year. I think last year was a different level. You can't be doing that much. It was a good night. We got our haircuts. We went to a 500-year-old pub, Old Mitri.
Shout out to Kessman Saloon. They cut footballers' hair. We got a nice cut.
We went to this restaurant place that was very lively, a lot of action. And we had a great night, great first night.
But you didn't go for the record with the dark ales. Were you not feeling it? You weren't in shape. You didn't dark.
I don't think the record's gonna ever be broken. That is that is an all time. And 11 pretty hard. That's a lot of beer. 8 was a lot. So I'm gonna let the record just sit up there.
The 11 is going down trouble. Just like the amount of pies you ate at Brighton away.
Yes,
I think
10 pies. 10 pies.
They got your photo there still in the back of the kitchen. It's motivation making those pies. Let's jump into fan questions here. It's gonna be a quicker podcast just because we're live on the train. At Mike United Mets. Well, sirs, hope you had a good chance to pick up some peppermint patty kits for the kids at least. Safe trip home. Sir, you pick up a peppermint patty kit.
I didn't, but that's a great idea because that's exactly what my kids would like. So thank you. I'm going to get them one of those. I'm going to find a way.
That is a proper kit. Unfortunately, Mike, we plan it so tight. There's like no time to go to the store.
We barely made our trade.
Did catch up with a few buddies though, which was great. At D_Cole18, these are the games that make the difference in top 4 in Champions League, money or not. If we have the mentality to hold on to a draw and bad games, the season looks entirely different. 10 losses in the Premier League. I'm sick of Rashford's lack of effort anywhere but left wing. Players used to die to get on the field.
It was evident today. I don't think I've ever heard that from Manchester United fans, but they chewed out Rashford. I mean, there's one point where he wasn't tracking back when he lost the ball, and United fans were not happy. And something's off, bro. And like Rashi, he was flyer, kicked ass last year, but he's been so up and down year to year. So whoever is going to be making the calls this summer has a lot of big decisions to make. A lot of big decisions beyond just like the obvious ones.
At crap at football, tough game to go to.
Yes,
we can see the midfield when we play future MLS star Christian Eriksen. I hope Ratcliffe and team can still sign players without Champions League. What do you think about not having Champions League and impact on the rebuild?
I think they're more likely to have to sell big names, right? If you know that 100 million, I mean, then you might have to sell a Rashford, sell a Bruno. So it also gives you an opportunity. They'll whack the coach, right? If you make Champions League, they have to keep Ten Hag, and I'm not even talking about like that decision, but like if he misses top 5 or if it is top 5, there's no way he keeps his job, I would think, because they want to get an opportunity for a fresh start. They do.
I don't know. I think it's more about what Ashworth thinks of him and what role he's willing to play, right? If he's willing to be a yes man and go along with Ashworth and they get along, great. If he's going to be stubborn and Dutch and generally kind of the way he's been, then most likely it's not going to work out.
He could be in trouble.
But like it's a results-based business. You get the results. We move on. At you, Bosun, what a joke of a team. Right when they start to close in on the top 4 race, they put on the worst performance in a long time.
It's true.
We've seen this movie before. Also, you guys should not have bought those Hoyland jerseys. The curse, of course. I do not have a Hoyland jersey.
I do not have a Hoyland jersey. I bought a Rooney jersey.
Okay.
I did not touch the current squad. I've learned the hard way. This no longer happens. So the only curse I have is to show up to a game. So every time we show up, we lose. We won Wolves last year, but our streak has been rough as ARD hosts. But hey, sir, it's always darkest before the dawn.
As far as tough game to go to, I don't know. It's like after you given we have season tickets and we've been so many times, it's just fun to go to a game. I no longer have that pressure of like needing United to win, right? I used to have that. I used to feel that, but at the current rate, I just like going
to win.
And it's also
the atmosphere is great.
It's also like we are who we are. It's like this team's not that good. We're 6th, fighting for 7th. Could have been worse. We could be 8th or 9th, really, in how we've been playing. Like we've been out XG'd, winning, getting a lot of luck. This team is not that good. And at the end of the day, like I support United through thick and thin. Coming here, going to the stadium, being with the fans, and singing the team on is amazing, regardless. Even if you lose, sir.
No, I mean that was the win today. The win today was being in Manchester. It was a lovely day. I love the Manchester United faithful.
Great weather.
Dude, it was great weather. The stadium was in fine voice when it found it. A little quiet to start, but I think like once the game kicked off and the team finally figured out, there's a football game going on. There were some moments that were really enjoyable. So either way, we're walking away with 0 points. We got all kinds of issues. We're playing City next weekend, but hey, we made the trade, so that's something. And Ratcliffe and Co are coming in. Ashworth, dude, like Omar, we got a whole new crew. So things are looking up. It's going to take some time, but I'm confident that this team they're putting together is top draw, and that's going to be the difference.
Great tweet here at JackBorn86. Sirs, in the past you said Bruno looks better in person than on TV. Does that still hold? And what about Rashford?
I mean, every other game
he
I've
didn't look
seen.
that great today.
No, neither did.
Neither did. It's stark contrast to last year
was
when we played.
Still better than Rashford because he's still good in those tight spaces. But he messed up some like passes that are usually pretty simple for him. So he did not have a good day. So I think
frustrated. He looked frustrated the whole time.
That's one of the worst Bruno performances I've seen in video, live or not live. So it was unfortunate. And Rashi didn't look in it. The only one who looked in it was Garnacho. And then Ahmad when he came.
Garnacho looked
good. Like Ahmad had good feet, bro. Like you could tell he's a good player. He has to play. You have to play him.
Like what are we doing? Like what are we like?
Like
It's like, what are we doing? It's
I
like,
love the idea of starting Amari, but like he's like 18, 19, and Ahmad's 21. He's already played championship, right? He's played Sunderland. He's played up in the Northeast. He's used to it. Anyway, so
no, that's a great point. I mean, like Garnacho looks way better in person than he does on TV. Like he is like the whole team. He's like the best attacker that we have. At Country Esquire, it's not an ARD curse. Sir Alex made a deal with the devil, and this is the cost. Do not let it damper the trip. There's nothing that pints and pies can't fix.
Pints and pies. That's my favorite combination. And England, that's the one thing you do at Leeds is the pub culture is great. Pints and the pies aren't bad either. So we're having a great time. It's a shame about the 3 points, but there's always next weekend, sir. We got the Blues.
All right. Last question here before we sign off and give some respite to everyone who's listening to us pod on the train. At Kid Andrew 8, do you think Ten Hag knows it's over already and is just trying to paint a rosy picture?
I think he is fighting for his life. I think he's fighting for his life and he's doing whatever he can do. He's trying to win games, but they don't look motivated. And it's like, unfortunately, it's like these players have not been motivated for a lot of coaches in the last 5 years. But he's gonna be the next one that gets caught up in it, and they're gonna start over, and they're also gonna flush the squad. So it's like it's a multi-pronged issues. Like United's got a number of issues.
Yeah, it looks to me that there's a lot of jockeying in the press, or a lot of jawing, I think is the correct term. Like he's talking to the media as if he's talking to Ineos through the media a little bit. And that's a sign of weakness in England. You see a lot of managers do that, kind of talk about confidence that the ownership has because he has the mic. Ratcliffe had a chance to come out and strongly support Ten Hag. He kind of says no manager has really done well and kind of talks about that situation, but he doesn't necessarily directly answer the question. Like you said, I think he's managing for his job at the moment. It doesn't look good, and like I'm sure it's well known inside the walls that something's off, something went down, and players are generally not motivated. So it's definitely an interesting issue, interesting times at United. There's an argument to keep him for the continuity of the cleanup of the squad. But if we don't play well, like if you see the football we're playing, it's like you gotta go.
Doesn't even make sense compared to what we played last year. It doesn't even make sense what we're doing.
It looks bad. It looks worse when you come see it. And if we're there seeing it, Ratcliffe's seeing it, it's like it's bad.
I mean, Brailsford's there. I don't know if Ratcliffe was at the game today because I wasn't on social too much, but the other guys are there. Like you don't think Omar Morata's there? Like they're seeing what we're seeing. And there's real issues in the squad and with the manager because the tactics aren't right either. It's like the players aren't motivated, but the tactics are not right. So he's got to work on that. His man management selection too, as well, has been not his best, and that's why the team suffered.
It looks to me it's clean slate. It looks to me like today I saw it and it was like, what can you make of this run?
Nagelsmann becomes available. It's like
what could you make of this run?
Opportunistic too,
and it's like, how long can you win and play bad? And so it's like, what can we make of this run? And the answer is got cooked at home by Fulham, and that's not going to help you keep your job, especially if we miss out on Champions League. So we'll see.
We got to see it. Hey, almost come back, and then it all fell apart. But it was fun. Well, it was fun. But this team has got a lot of work, and we're going to be with you every step of the way. But it might get even uglier. It might get darker.
How many dark ales tonight, sir? That's the real question.
Less than 8. I'll tell you that. It's going to be less than 8. Less than 8. Less than 11.
All right, that's been the ARD on the road Fulham recap podcast. Appreciate everyone. Hopefully you had a better day than that result. If you want to support the podcast, check us out on Patreon, patreon.com/AmericaRedDevils, AmericaRedDevils.store, AmericaRedDevils.com. Keep the love coming for this team. It needs it. It's a hell of a year. It ain't over yet. Let's hope that we can have some better football to look forward to. In the Derby, let's go.
I know, Derby next weekend. Hey, it's still in our hands. We can still finish in the top 5, but we could also finish a lot lower than 6th. So it's going to be very telling how these next few months play out without his preferred 11, because if he doesn't have his preferred 11, we seem to play like dog shit. So we got to fix that.
Hey, the Derby could be the death blow or it could be the start of something, sir. I don't know.
Domine.
Yeah, but we'll leave you with that. And as always,
kicking a blue.
Kicking a blue.